What if the tales we learned in history class were more fiction than fact? Today, we set out on a journey to unravel the truths behind the stories we've taken for granted. You see, our perception of history is often clouded by age-old tales and popular narratives that have somehow slipped into our collective memory, masquerading as truth. The allure of these myths lies in their simplicity and persistence, passed down from one generation to the next, whether in books, movies, or even casual conversations. But why do such misconceptions endure? The answer lies in a blend of human nature's love for a good story and our eagerness to simplify complex historical truths. Throughout this video, we'll be dissecting 30 of the most prevalent historical misconceptions, revealing the reality behind the myths, from the mystery of the shape of our planet to the enigmatic smile of the Mona Lisa. Prepare to have your perspective challenged. By the end, you might just view history in a whole new light. Now turning to one of the most persistent myths, the notion that people in the Middle Ages believed the Earth was flat. This misconception has permeated public consciousness, yet its origins reveal a more complex story. Educated individuals throughout history, from ancient Greek philosophers like Pythagoras to medieval scholars, were well aware of Earth's spherical nature. They used observations and calculations, a testament to their intellectual rigor, to deduce its round shape. So, where did this flat Earth myth originate? Surprisingly, it gained traction in the modern era, thanks in part to the imaginative writings of 19th-century author Washington Irving. Irving, seeking to dramatize Christopher Columbus's story, erroneously suggested that Columbus set out to prove the Earth was round to skeptics who believed otherwise. In reality, the spherical Earth was a widely accepted fact among educated individuals long before Columbus's time. It's fascinating how a blend of fiction and misinterpretation can shape collective memory. Visualize this with ancient maps and early scientific models, proof that our ancestors possessed a much keener understanding of spatial geometry than often assumed. Moving forward, let's explore another captivating historical myth that has managed to withstand the scrutiny of time. As the next challenge unfolds, let's delve into the fascinating myth surrounding Viking horned helmets. This popular image, seen frequently in modern depictions, actually owes more to the imagination of 19th-century operatic productions than any historical reality. These productions, looking to add drama and flair, adorned their Viking characters with elaborate horned helmets, sparking a stereotype that persists even today. However, archaeological findings tell a different story. Real Viking helmets unearthed from historical sites are generally simple and practical, built for combat rather than theatricality, and notably lack any horns. These helmets were typically made of iron with a conical, rounded shape designed to protect warriors in battle. The horned helmet myth stands as a testament to how theatrical reinterpretations can embed deeply into our cultural consciousness, often overshadowing historical facts. Imagining the grandeur of operatic stages set against the backdrop of authentic Viking artifacts offers a vivid contrast between entertainment and reality. With the next phase of our journey in sight, let us move on to another captivating historical misconception that continues to intrigue us today. As the next chapter of our exploration begins, let's delve into the myth surrounding the stature of Napoleon Bonaparte, often portrayed as being short. This misconception finds its roots in a mix-up between French and British measurements. During Napoleon's era, the French used a different measuring system than the British, leading to confusion. When his height was recorded as 5 feet 2 inches in French measure, it actually translated to an average height for men in his time, around 5 feet 6 inches in today's measurement. This was notably above average even by the standards of his contemporaries. The myth of Napoleon's shortness was further amplified by British propaganda, which sought to belittle him by exaggerating this aspect of his persona. This portrayal of a short, diminutive figure clashed with reality, as portraits and context from the era reveal a leader of average height, commanding presence and immense charisma. The irony of Napoleon's big presence contrasted with the small myth is a fascinating case of how historical narratives can be shaped by political motives and cultural misunderstandings. As we journey onward into our next historical curiosity, let's unravel another belief that has captivated minds through the ages. Moving forward, we approach the legendary tale of Marie Antoinette and the infamous phrase, "Let them eat cake." This statement is often attributed to her, suggesting a callous indifference to the plight of the French peasants. However, historical evidence suggests that these words were likely never spoken by Marie Antoinette. The phrase is believed to have originated from the writings of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who referred to a great princess expressing such sentiments. By the time the story was linked to Marie Antoinette during the French Revolution, it had become a powerful tool to portray her as an out-of-touch aristocrat, disconnected from the struggles of the common people. This narrative was further fueled by propaganda that sought to emphasize her perceived extravagance amidst France's economic hardships. Imagining the grandeur of the Palace of Versailles, it is easy to see how such a myth could be perpetuated in the public consciousness. Yet, examining her life reveals a more complex picture of a young queen facing immense pressure and ultimately serving as a convenient scapegoat for broader societal grievances. As we continue to debunk these entrenched historical myths, let's shift our focus to another captivating misconception that has persisted over the centuries. Now turning to the impressive feat of engineering that is the Great Wall of China, we unravel the persistent myth claiming it can be seen from space with the naked eye. While the concept is intriguing, scientific evidence quickly discredits this notion. One might imagine the Great Wall stretching across the landscape, its formidable presence hard to miss from above. However, the reality is that from the vastness of space, the wall's width is too narrow to be discernible without aid. It's important to understand that even from a low Earth orbit, many features of our planet become difficult to discern. When compared to other landmarks and natural formations visible from such distances, the Great Wall of China doesn't stand out as we might expect. This misconception possibly arose from the desire to emphasize the wall's grandeur and historical significance. Yet, by examining satellite imagery and expert analyses, we find that the myth doesn't hold up under scrutiny. The Great Wall is undoubtedly a marvel of human achievement, but its visibility from space without the help of modern technology remains a myth. As we leave this misconception behind, let's turn our attention to another entrenched historical belief that warrants a closer look. Now turning to the widely held misconception that Christopher Columbus discovered America, we must dive deeper to understand the rich tapestry of history that predates his famous voyage in 1492. It's crucial to acknowledge the diverse and sophisticated indigenous peoples who inhabited the lands long before Columbus set sail. Their complex societies, rich cultures, and thriving trade networks paint a vivid picture of a continent far from discovered. Furthermore, it's essential to recognize the Norse expeditions led by Leif Erikson around the year 1000. These daring voyages reached the shores of North America nearly 500 years prior to Columbus's journey. The Norse settlements, particularly in areas like Newfoundland, underscore the presence of early European explorations long before the Italian navigators' voyages under the Spanish crown. This historical nuance shifts the narrative from discovery to contact and interaction, urging us to appreciate the deeper layers of history often overshadowed by simplified tales. As we continue to unravel these misconceptions, our understanding of the world's past becomes more nuanced and inclusive, reflecting the true diversity and interconnectedness of human history. Moving forward, let us explore the next historical belief that has endured despite contrary evidence. Now turning to the myth that Albert Einstein, often hailed as one of the greatest minds in modern science, was a failure in mathematics, it is important to address and debunk this misconception. This tale likely began due to misunderstandings and perhaps even misinterpretations of Einstein's early academic records. Contrary to the belief that he struggled with numbers, Einstein excelled in mathematics from a young age. By the age of 12, he was already mastering complex concepts that would baffle his peers. His aptitude for math was evident in his ability to grasp advanced topics such as algebra and calculus long before they were formally introduced in his school curriculum. Records from his student years show him receiving top marks in math, further dispelling this myth. The confusion may have stemmed from his rebellious nature and dislike of the rigid school systems rather than an actual deficiency in any subject. Einstein's formidable skills were instrumental in developing his groundbreaking theories, such as the theory of relativity, which heavily relied on sophisticated mathematical equations. It is essential to recognize that his contributions to science were deeply rooted in his mathematical prowess, which was anything but lacking. This narrative reminds us of the importance of verifying historical facts, as myths can obscure the truth behind influential figures like Einstein. As we delve deeper into uncovering historical misconceptions, we find each revelation paints a more accurate and insightful portrait of history. Moving forward, let us explore another prevalent myth that has captured public imagination despite being a distortion of reality. Moving forward, let's tackle the enduring myth that humans only use 10% of their brains. This misconception has been widely circulated in popular culture, often used to suggest untapped potential within us. However, modern neuroscience paints a very different picture. Brain imaging technology, such as functional MRI, has provided us with a clearer understanding of brain activity, showing that we use much more than just 10% of our brain. In fact, even simple tasks like speaking, listening, or moving your body engage multiple areas across the brain. This myth may have originated in the early 20th century with misinterpretations of neurological research suggesting underutilized potential. Yet, experts today agree that nearly all parts of the brain have a known function and are active at different times, whether we are awake or asleep. Dr. Barry Gordon, a cognitive neuroscientist, emphasizes that over the course of a day, we use virtually every part of the brain. The notion that we tap into only a small fraction is misleading and undermines the complexity and efficiency of our brain's operations. Understanding this helps appreciate the full capacity and functionality of the human brain that works tirelessly to process information, govern our actions, and mold our experiences. As we continue to dispel these myths, it becomes evident how misconceptions can spread and shape public perceptions, often overshadowing scientific truth. Let's transition to another long-standing myth that has been as misleading as it is captivating. As the next challenge unfolds, we turn our focus to the misconception that Cleopatra, the iconic ruler of ancient Egypt, was actually Egyptian by descent. In truth, Cleopatra VII hailed from a lineage of Macedonian Greeks, as she belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty that ruled Egypt following the conquests of Alexander the Great. Despite this, her cultural footprint in Egyptian history was profound, largely because she embraced Egyptian customs, language, and deities to legitimize her rule as pharaoh. Cleopatra's strategic immersion into Egyptian culture allowed her to wield considerable influence, powerfully symbolizing Egypt's identity in her era. This connection is often visualized through art and coinage from her time, where Cleopatra is depicted with traditional pharaonic attributes entwined with Hellenistic style. Such depictions reflect her unique blend of Greek and Egyptian heritage, serving both as a testament to her adaptability and as a basis for the enduring myth of her purely Egyptian origin. Her command over multiple languages, her political alliances, and her renowned intelligence further solidified her legacy, painting her not only as a ruler of Egypt but as a formidable figure in the annals of world history. Cleopatra's story highlights how historical narratives can evolve and transform over time, influenced by cultural integration and political prowess. Moving forward, our journey continues, unraveling yet another fascinating misconception that has stood the test of time. Now turning to the Salem witch trials, let's delve into the widespread but erroneous belief that the accused were burned at the stake. This misconception likely stems from European practices, where burning was a common form of execution for those found guilty of witchcraft. However, in the case of Salem, the historical records tell a different story. The primary method of execution in the Salem witch trials was hanging, not burning. In fact, 19 individuals were hanged as a result of the trials, while one man, Giles Corey, was pressed to death with heavy stones after refusing to plead. This brutal method was meant to force a confession from him, but it resulted in his tragic death instead. The confusion about burning likely arises from conflating the Salem events with other witch hunts in Europe, where fire was indeed used as punishment. By examining period illustrations and trial records, we gain a clearer picture of these grim events. Understanding the true nature of the Salem witch trials not only dispels this myth, but also underscores the hysteria and fear that gripped a community, leading to tragic outcomes. As we unravel these historical inaccuracies, we continue our journey into the past, shedding light on yet another commonly misunderstood aspect of history. As the next challenge unfolds, let's address a common misconception about the life expectancy of medieval peasants, often cited as being only 30 years. This belief, while widespread, is not entirely accurate. The figure is heavily skewed by high infant mortality rates during the Middle Ages. Infants faced numerous health challenges, and many did not survive past their early years, which drastically lowered the average life expectancy during that era. However, those who made it through childhood often lived much longer, sometimes reaching 50, 60, or even beyond. Life for medieval peasants was undoubtedly tough, filled with back-breaking labor, little access to medical care, and the constant threat of disease. Despite these challenges, community ties were strong, and many found joy and purpose through their work and relationships. Contrasting the harsh realities of their lives with the communal bonds and cultural practices they nurtured provides a fuller understanding of medieval life. By exploring medieval records and visual depictions of the time, we gain insights into the resilience and adaptability of people in this period. Moving forward, we aim to correct these historical misconceptions, revealing a past that's richer and more complex than often portrayed. Moving forward, let's unravel the misconception that medieval women were voiceless and devoid of agency. Contrary to popular belief, women in the Middle Ages were not merely passive figures confined to domestic roles. In fact, many wielded considerable power and influence. Take, for example, Helena of Aquitaine. As one of the most significant female figures of her time, Helena's impact was felt across Europe. She was not only the Duchess of Aquitaine but also became Queen of France and later Queen of England, holding sway over policies and territories. Her life was a testament to female agency during this era. Helena's patronage of the arts and involvement in political affairs exemplifies the capacities in which medieval women could lead and effect change. Furthermore, medieval manuscripts and artworks from the period frequently depict women in various roles, from the religious to the regal, underscoring their contributions to societal and cultural dynamics. These representations highlight how women navigated and influenced the structured confines of medieval society. By examining the lives of such influential women and the cultural artifacts of the time, we see that the narrative of silence is far from the reality. This examination broadens our understanding of gender dynamics in history and challenges the narrow perspectives often held about the medieval period. As we peel back the layers of misconception, the stories of these dynamic women illuminate a Middle Ages richer in complexity and diversity than many realize. Now turning to another fascinating misconception, we explore the often sensationalized story of Vincent van Gogh's ear. Contrary to the widely held belief that Van Gogh severed his entire ear, historical accounts reveal that it was only a portion of his earlobe that he willingly cut off. This infamous episode in Van Gogh's life occurred during a particularly tumultuous period in December of 1888, while he was living in Arles, France. The incident was fueled by a complex mix of personal struggles, including mental health issues, financial difficulties, and the stresses of his tumultuous relationship with fellow artist Paul Gauguin. After the altercation with Gauguin, it is understood that Van Gogh, in a state of distress, used a razor to cut off part of his earlobe. He then famously wrapped the severed piece in a newspaper and presented it to a woman at a local brothel. This act has often been portrayed as a dramatic representation of his mental state. In the aftermath, Van Gogh was admitted to the hospital, beginning a series of treatments for his psychological ailments. This incident not only reflects the severity of his mental health struggles, but also the profound impact these struggles had on his life and work. Despite these challenges, Van Gogh continued to paint prolifically, producing some of his most compelling work during this period of agony and introspection. His self-portraits, particularly those painted after the incident, offer a window into his psyche and demonstrate his relentless pursuit of artistic expression in the face of personal turmoil. These powerful self-examinations reveal the raw, emotional depth that characterizes much of Van Gogh's art. As we uncover the reality behind the myth, it becomes clear that Van Gogh's legacy transcends this singular event, shining a light on his enduring genius and the complexities of his personal journey. As the next challenge unfolds, we dive into the intriguing myth of chastity belts in medieval Europe. Often depicted in movies and literature as a widespread practice to ensure the fidelity of women during their husband's absence, the reality tells a different tale. Contrary to popular belief, historical evidence for the use of chastity belts is sparse, casting doubt on the idea that they were a common or practical tool of the era. Rather than finding genuine artifacts from the medieval period, most chastity belts in museums today are likely to be clever forgeries or products of a later era, reflecting societal fascinations more than historical facts. Their purported existence seems to be more symbolic, serving as a metaphor for control over female sexuality rather than a physical reality. Experts in the field of medieval history and archaeology often position chastity belts as myths originating from folklore and exaggerations. This narrative of restraint may have been perpetuated through sensationalist storytelling and the allure of scandal, rather than supported by the customs of medieval society. While the concept of chastity belts might have been conceivable in the imaginations of those from later centuries, in truth, there is scant evidence to suggest they were actively used as a medieval institution. Interviews with historians and curators further emphasize the lack of documentation or credible artifacts that would confirm their genuine use. As we dismantle this misconception, it becomes evident that the fascination with chastity belts reveals more about contemporary societal fears and fantasies than medieval realities. Moving forward, let's delve into the commonly held belief that the Emancipation Proclamation freed all slaves. This pivotal document, issued by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1, 1863, is often heralded as the decree that liberated all enslaved people in the United States. However, its immediate effect was limited, as it applied only to Confederate states that were not under Union control. This meant that many enslaved individuals in border states and certain parts of the South remained in bondage until later actions, including the 13th Amendment, fully abolished slavery. Despite these limitations, the Emancipation Proclamation held immense symbolic significance as it marked a decisive shift in the Union's war aims. framing the conflict as a struggle for freedom and turning moral sentiments in favor of abolition. This declaration also opened the doors for African Americans to join the Union Army, bolstering its ranks and altering the course of the war. Through the lens of history, we see that while the proclamation was not an immediate panacea, it paved the way for the eventual eradication of slavery and stood as a testament to the changing tides of a nation. As we continue to examine these intricate historical narratives, we gain a deeper understanding of the complexities and enduring impact of such transformative events. Now turning to the curious case of George Washington's teeth, let's debunk the persistent myth that the first president of the United States had wooden dentures. Contrary to popular belief, Washington's false teeth were never crafted from wood. In reality, they were made from a combination of materials including ivory, gold, lead, and even human teeth. The myth likely arose from the discoloration of the ivory, which could resemble wood over time. Washington's dental woes were well documented as he began losing his teeth in his 20s and struggled with ill-fitting dentures throughout his life. Portraits from the 18th century often depict him with a bit of a pained expression, hinting at the discomfort these primitive devices must have caused. Replicas of his dentures reveal the intricate craftsmanship involved, providing insight into the dental practices of the era. Despite these challenges, Washington's resilience and leadership remained unwavering, reminding us that even great figures of history dealt with personal difficulties. As we unravel these misconceptions, the real stories behind prominent historical figures emerge, offering a richer, more nuanced perspective of their lives and times. Moving forward to the legendary tale of the Trojan horse, we dive into a story that has captured imaginations for centuries. The epic narrative, central to Homer's accounts of the Trojan War, suggests that Greeks cunningly used a giant wooden horse to infiltrate and conquer the city of Troy. However, historians and archaeologists alike have cast significant doubt on the literal existence of this wooden marvel. Ancient literature from Homer, while rich in storytelling, often blurs the lines between myth and history. The lack of archaeological evidence supporting the existence of an actual Trojan horse suggests that it may serve more as a powerful symbol of deception and cunning strategy rather than a historical event. Excavations at sites believed to be ancient Troy reveal fascinating insights into the city's layout and defenses, yet no trace of the famed horse. This myth endures in our consciousness, possibly due to its dramatic representation of human ingenuity and its moral about the dangers of being too trusting. It stands as a testament to the power of storytelling and serves as a reminder of how legends can become ingrained in cultural memory, shaping our understanding of history. As we navigate these historical misconceptions, it becomes apparent that separating fact from fiction provides a deeper appreciation of ancient narratives and our shared past. Now turning to the tale of Nero and the Great Fire of Rome, let's explore a story steeped in myth and perhaps a touch of melodrama. The popular belief that Emperor Nero played the fiddle while Rome was engulfed in flames has permeated our cultural lexicon, often symbolizing neglect and apathy in leadership. However, historical evidence suggests a different narrative. While accounts from Roman historians like Tacitus acknowledge Nero's presence in Antium when the fire began, they also describe his return to Rome, where he organized relief efforts and housed the displaced in his palaces. Moreover, the fiddle or violin, as we know it today, simply did not exist in first-century Rome. Instead, ancient Rome's musical repertoire included instruments like the lyre or cithara, which might have been more fitting for Nero's rumored musical inclinations. Artistic depictions over the years have further infused this myth with an air of drama, yet no contemporary records confirm Nero's supposed performance during the destruction. As we debunk this misconception, it becomes evident how stories over time can evolve and often deviate from the truth, influenced by artistic liberties and the enduring allure of captivating narratives. This serves as a reminder of the importance of scrutinizing historical accounts and understanding the context behind enduring legends. Moving forward, we continue our journey to explore more tales where myth and reality intertwine, shaping our collective history. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let's step into the world of ancient Roman gladiatorial games, a spectacle steeped in tradition and often misunderstood through the lens of modern myth. The notion that a thumbs-down gesture signaled death is widely ingrained in popular culture, but a closer examination of historical practices reveals a different picture. In the context of Roman games, the thumb gestures used by crowds or the editor, who was responsible for the final decision in the arena, are believed by historians to have been more complex and nuanced. The Latin phrase pollis verso has been historically associated with gestures in the arena, but its exact meaning remains a topic of scholarly debate. Some interpretations suggest that the thumb held upwards could indicate the sword action, possibly aligning with the notion of granting mercy, while a turned thumb, not necessarily downwards, might have pointed towards a more ambiguous signal. Roman art, such as mosaics and frescoes, provides us with glimpses into the vivid world of gladiatorial contests, yet they seldom clarify the specific gestures used. These artistic depictions often emphasize the grandeur and drama of the games rather than documenting precise hand signals. As we re-evaluate this misconception, it underscores the importance of acknowledging the complexities within historical narratives and the role that interpretation plays in shaping our understanding of the past. By peeling back the layers of myth, we gain a richer appreciation for the cultural nuances that defined ancient Rome, reminding us of the intricate tapestry of history that continues to intrigue and captivate. As the sun rises on the next chapter in our exploration of historical misconceptions, we carry forward with insights that challenge our perceptions, inviting a deeper engagement with the truths of our shared history. As the sun rises on the next chapter in our exploration of historical misconceptions, we delve into the eerie realm of witch trials in Scotland and the peculiar belief around so-called witch scars. The idea that witches bore scars as identifiers or marks of their supposed pact with the devil is a chilling narrative born out of fear and misunderstanding. During the height of witch hunts, various methods were employed to uncover these marks, often with a complete disregard for logic or justice. One such brutal practice was pricking, where suspects were jabbed with needles under the belief that areas insensitive to pain were evidence of witchcraft. This method was not only flawed but often manipulated by unscrupulous individuals known as witch prickers, who exploited these trials for profit or retribution. Surprisingly, these marks were deemed to exist mostly in the minds of the accusers rather than as physical evidence. Modern interpretations have shifted significantly as historians and experts have scrutinized the skewed perceptions and panic that fueled these gruesome proceedings. As we examine historical records and expert opinions, it becomes clear how fear and superstition overshadowed reason in these dark times. Today, we understand these scars not as physical deformities but as metaphorical wounds inflicted by hysteria and persecution. By revisiting this unsettling chapter of history, we learn to reflect on the dangers of unchecked fear and the importance of questioning the narratives that shape our understanding. Just as our journey through history continues, so does our commitment to shedding light on misconceptions, urging us to seek truth and empathy in the face of past injustices. As we move forward, let us remember the lessons from these tales of old stories that serve as potent reminders of the human capacity for both error and enlightenment. As the next challenge unfolds in our journey through historical misconceptions, we encounter the long-held belief in the geocentric model of the universe during the Middle Ages. This model proposed that Earth was the center of the universe, with celestial bodies, including the Sun, revolving around it. This view was deeply entrenched in medieval thought, supported by influential scholars like Ptolemy and reinforced by religious teachings of the time. However, this misconception began to unravel as brilliant minds such as Nicolaus Copernicus and Galileo Galilei emerged. Copernicus, in the 16th century, proposed the groundbreaking heliocentric model, placing the Sun at the center with Earth and other planets orbiting around it. This theory was revolutionary, challenging centuries of accepted wisdom and facing significant opposition. Galileo's use of the telescope to observe celestial phenomena provided concrete evidence supporting the Copernican model. His observations, such as the phases of Venus and the moons of Jupiter, were pivotal in shifting the scientific community's perspective. Despite facing backlash and even persecution, Galileo's findings laid the groundwork for modern astronomy. Through their efforts, these pioneers transformed our understanding of the cosmos, highlighting the power of scientific inquiry in overcoming entrenched misconceptions. By reflecting on this shift, we learn the importance of questioning prevailing narratives and embracing evidence-based truths. As we continue our exploration, let us appreciate the courage and curiosity that propelled humanity toward a more accurate understanding of our place in the universe. Moving forward, we turn our attention to a fascinating yet often misunderstood concept: Einstein's theory of relativity and its supposed proof of time travel. Many people believe that relativity means we can simply jump through time as if we were flipping through a book. However, the reality is more nuanced. Let's unravel what this groundbreaking theory actually tells us. It primarily consists of two parts: special relativity and general relativity. Special relativity, published in 1905, introduces the idea that time is not a constant. Instead, it can vary depending on how fast you are moving relative to something else. This is known as time dilation. For instance, if two clocks are synchronized and one moves at a high speed through space, it will tick more slowly compared to the stationary one. General relativity, on the other hand, published in 1914, expands on this by explaining how gravity affects time. In simple terms, time runs slower in stronger gravitational fields. So, while these concepts might sound like science fiction, they don't mean we can travel back and forth through time at will. Instead, they reveal the intricate connections between space, time, and gravity. Einstein himself said, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." His work uncovers the true nature of the universe, but it doesn't suggest we can manipulate time as easily as turning a page. By understanding these principles, we gain a deeper appreciation of the cosmos and dispel romanticized myths about jumping through time like a traveler in a whimsical tale. As we continue with our exploration, let us remain curious and open-minded, ready to challenge and refine our perceptions based on evidence and scientific discovery. As the next challenge unfolds, we delve into the dramatic tale surrounding Emperor Nero and the infamous Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. It's a frequent misconception that Nero himself orchestrated this destructive blaze, fiddling away while the city burned. Historically, however, the reality is more nuanced. In fact, musical instruments like the fiddle did not even exist at the time. Present-day historians have sifted through ancient texts and gathered evidence to challenge this narrative. According to the Roman historian Tacitus, Nero was miles away at the time of the fire in Antium and returned quickly to organize relief efforts. He opened his own properties to shelter the homeless and provided food supplies to those affected. While it might be tempting to label him as the villain of this story, Nero's actions actually suggest a more compassionate response. Moreover, some historical accounts propose that the fire was accidental or perhaps even set by individuals with their own agendas. Others suggest it was used as a convenient excuse by Nero's political enemies to tarnish his reputation. With this understanding, we see that the ancient story of Nero is more layered than folklore might have us believe. The lesson here is that history often requires us to look beyond simple narratives and examine the multifaceted nature of past events. As we move forward, let's continue to unravel historical misconceptions and explore the rich tapestry of nuanced truths that shape our understanding. Now turning to the misunderstood connection between Charles Darwin's theory of evolution and Nazi ideology, we encounter a persistent myth that has tainted the legacy of one of history's most pivotal scientific thinkers. The claim that Darwin's ideas on natural selection provided a foundation for Nazi beliefs is a gross oversimplification and misinterpretation of his work. Darwin's theory of evolution, as articulated in his groundbreaking book On the Origin of Species, focused on the scientific explanation of biological diversity and the mechanisms of natural selection without advocating for human social policies. It was primarily about the gradual process through which species change over time as they adapt to their environments. Historical analysis of Darwin's letters and writings reveals that his intention was never to support racial superiority or eugenics, which were later adapted by proponents of the Nazi ideology who distorted scientific theories to justify their actions. Moreover, Darwin himself was an outspoken critic of slavery and firmly believed in the shared humanity of all races. It is crucial to distinguish between scientific concepts and the misuse of those concepts for political purposes. This confusion underscores the importance of critically examining historical sources and understanding the original context of scientific theories. By doing so, we honor Darwin not only as a scientist but as a figure whose work has been manipulated beyond his original intentions. Let us proceed with a keener insight into the nuances of historical truths as we continue on our path to demystifying history's misrepresentations. As the next chapter unveils, we delve into the enigmatic allure of the Mona Lisa's smile, a subject of fascination and debate for centuries. The perception of her smile as mysterious stems largely from the unique artistic techniques employed by Leonardo da Vinci, who was renowned for his nuanced mastery of shadow and light. Da Vinci's use of sfumato, a method of blending colors and tones seamlessly, creates an ambiguous expression that changes when viewed from different angles or distances, contributing to the painting's captivating mystique. Scientific studies have attempted to decode this enigma by analyzing how our visual perception processes these artistic elements. Researchers have discovered that the human brain interprets the subtle shadows around the corners of the mouth and eyes as signs of liveliness and emotion, causing the smile to appear more pronounced when focusing on other parts of the portrait. This play of perception keeps the viewer engaged, as if the Mona Lisa is aware and responsive to our gaze. Expert analyzers suggest that this intentional interplay between illusion and reality was a deliberate choice by Da Vinci, enhancing the painting's allure beyond its obvious aesthetics. Through exquisite artistry, Da Vinci challenges our senses and our understanding of emotion captured on canvas. This enduring intrigue not only reflects his genius but also exemplifies the power of art to provoke thought and wonder, transcending time and remaining endlessly relevant. As we continue to engage with historical misconceptions, let us embrace the complexities and marvels that art and history offer, enriching our appreciation of the past. Now turning to the intriguing narrative of the Victorian era, we begin to unravel the multifaceted tapestry behind the often simplistic stereotype of its moral rigidity. As a time commonly portrayed as repressive and prudish, the Victorian period, spanning much of the 19th century, brims with a rich complexity that often goes unnoticed. Beyond the surface of tight-laced corsets and severe societal norms lies a vibrant world of innovation in art, literature, and social movements. On the fashion front, the era witnessed a stunning evolution with elaborate dresses, intricate jewelry, and sometimes even bold experiments with secular sartorial expressions that defiantly challenged the norms of their day. Meanwhile, literature and the arts flourished, becoming outlets for a deep and sometimes clandestine exploration of ideas and emotions. authors like Charles Dickens and the Bronte sisters penned narratives that questioned societal structures, while movements like Romanticism and later the avant-garde sought to push beyond the conventional boundaries of expression. Even within the constraints of the time, these creative endeavors provided a canvas for personal and intellectual freedom. Historical reports and visual art from this period reflect the internal tensions between public decorum and private realities, revealing a society grappling with modernity amid its traditional values. This duality makes the Victorian era a captivating study of contradiction, where beneath the propriety lay a continual quest for self-expression and cultural development. As we peel back the layers of this fascinating period, we uncover not only a greater understanding of history, but also a reminder that societal norms often shroud deeper currents of change, beckoning us to look closer and appreciate the intricate weave of past epochs. Now turning to the fascinating topic of Albert Einstein's brain, a widely held misconception suggests that its larger size accounted for his extraordinary intelligence. This idea, however, does not hold up under scientific scrutiny. When examined post-mortem, Einstein's brain was found to be of average size. What truly set it apart were unique structural differences that were observed through comprehensive scientific studies. For instance, particular regions associated with mathematical thought and spatial reasoning exhibited distinct characteristics. These findings, supported by expert analyses and scientific diagrams, suggest that it was not the size but rather the intricate neural connections and specialized structures within his brain that likely contributed to his exceptional cognitive abilities. Contrary to the simplistic belief that a larger brain means greater intelligence, Einstein's case highlights the complexity of neural architecture and its role in human potential. This understanding not only reshapes our view of Einstein, but also challenges broader assumptions about intelligence and brain biology. As we delve deeper into the story of Einstein's remarkable intellect, we are reminded of the nuanced interplay between biology and genius, urging us to reassess other historical narratives that oversimplify the intricacies of the human experience. Moving forward, this insight allows us to approach the next topic with a refined perspective, as we continue to unravel the rich tapestry of historical misconceptions. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, we venture into the enigmatic world of the Roswell UFO incident, a topic shrouded in mystery and speculation. The narrative begins in the summer of 1947 when a rancher discovered unusual debris on his property near Roswell, New Mexico. This discovery sparked a media frenzy, leading to sensational headlines suggesting the remains of an extraterrestrial spacecraft had been found. However, what followed was a series of official explanations that fueled public curiosity and skepticism. Initially, the United States military quickly identified the debris as part of a weather balloon, a standard explanation that failed to quell public interest. The story gained further complexity decades later when the military revealed that the debris was part of a secretive surveillance program known as Project Mogul, designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. This revelation, intended to shed light on the incident, only added layers of intrigue as many continued to speculate about the possibility of alien encounters. Through archival news footage and government documentation, we can trace how Roswell transformed from a simple misunderstanding into a cultural phenomenon that persists in the collective imagination. The Roswell incident illustrates how a confluence of secrecy, speculation, and cultural fascination can transform an event into a lasting myth. Understanding these dynamics enables us to see the incident not just as an isolated event, but as part of a broader tapestry of human curiosity and the allure of the unknown. As we delve into these layers, it's clear that Roswell remains a testament to our enduring quest for answers beyond the ordinary, inviting us to reconsider how modern myths are born and sustained. Now turning to the misconception that the Middle Ages were a scientific dark age, let's uncover the surprising truth behind this era's intellectual achievements. Contrary to the popular belief that this period consisted of stagnation, the Middle Ages were a time of significant scientific and scholarly advancement. The foundation of universities across Europe, like the University of Bologna founded in 1088, played a crucial role in fostering education and the transfer of knowledge. These institutions became centers of learning, drawing scholars from various regions to study subjects such as astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Important figures such as Thomas Aquinas and Roger Bacon emerged during this era, contributing to fields that would later shape the Renaissance. Aquinas' synthesis of theology and Aristotelian philosophy provided a framework for understanding the natural world, while Bacon's emphasis on experimental science laid groundwork that would be built upon by later scientists. Medieval manuscripts reveal a wealth of innovations, documenting advancements in areas such as optics and mechanical engineering. For instance, the invention of eyeglasses in the late 13th century significantly improved vision correction, showcasing a blend of practical application and scientific insight. Additionally, the period witnessed the translation of classical texts from Greek and Arabic into Latin, facilitating a revival of knowledge that had been lost to Western Europe. These translations reintroduced important works on mathematics and medicine, proving instrumental in preserving and expanding upon ancient wisdom. So, rather than a pause in scientific progress, the Middle Ages were a vibrant period of learning and invention, bridging the gap between the ancient world and the dawn of the modern age. This understanding challenges the simplistic narrative of a dark age, inviting us to appreciate the complexity and richness of medieval intellectual life. With the next phase of our journey in sight, let's delve into the well-known event of the Boston Tea Party, often misunderstood as a mere protest against the cost of tea. The reality, however, involves much more than just prices. It was a pivotal moment in the struggle over taxation and representation. The colonies were outraged not because of the tea's expense, but due to the British government's imposition of the Tea Act of 1773, which granted the East India Company the exclusive right to sell tea in the American colonies. This effectively cut out colonial merchants, underscoring the broader issue of taxation without representation. The colonists had no voice in the British Parliament, which was enforcing laws that directly affected their economy and livelihoods. This simmering discontent reached a boiling point in December of 1773, when a group of American patriots, famously known as the Sons of Liberty, took a bold stand. Disguised as Mohawk Indians, they boarded 3 ships in Boston Harbor and dumped over 300 chests of tea into the water. It was a defiant act of rebellion against British authority, symbolizing the growing demand for self-governance and equal representation. Rather than a mere objection to the price of tea, the Boston Tea Party was a declaration of the colonists' rights and a catalyst for the American Revolution. The phrase, "no taxation without representation," became the rallying cry for freedom and justice, illustrating the deep-rooted quest for a fair legislative voice. This event, rich with political significance, highlights the complexities of colonial grievances and their enduring impact on the fight for independence. As we continue to explore historical narratives, it becomes evident how pivotal moments like these reshape our understanding of the past and underline the timeless quest for equality and autonomy. As the sun rises on the next chapter, let's recap the fascinating journey we've embarked upon through the labyrinth of historical misconceptions. We've unearthed the truth behind beliefs that once shaped our understanding, from the mythical flat earth of the Middle Ages to the imagined horned helmets of Vikings. Each story unraveled serves as a reminder that history, like a grand tapestry, is woven with both fact and fiction. The tales of Napoleon's stature and Einstein's alleged struggles in mathematics highlight how even the greatest figures can be misunderstood through the sands of time. Understanding Cleopatra's heritage, or the reality of the Salem witch trials, not only enriches our knowledge, but also stresses the significance of questioning what we've been told. These narratives emphasize the need to seek clarity amidst the myths, urging us to learn from past misunderstandings and reshape our view of the world. As you muse over these revelations, we invite you to delve deeper into history, challenge preconceived notions, and share any newfound insights or lingering misconceptions you might have. If you thirst for more captivating historical explorations, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell. Together, let's continue this enlightening journey into the past.